I am Dr. Swannie Jett, and I have a passion for public health for over 30 years. Now, I'm in a position to affect change. And these are the critical conversations about health in our community with the people who can help me make those changes. Good afternoon. Welcome to CEO Live Talks. I am your host, Dr. Swannie Jett, and today I have a special guest, Mr. Vincel Anthony. Welcome to the set, sir.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate it. Absolutely appreciate it.
So, before we get started, I have what I do. I go into a little bit of your past, spice up the show a little bit. So, I know you're from Louisville.
Right.
But tell me a little bit about your, upbringing.
Upbringing, man, I was born in St. Louis many moons ago, man, and then Dad was as military at Vietnam, and Mom and I moved here to Louisville, and I've been reared here. Came through the public school system, went to Male High School. Played a whole bunch of different sports, like a whole bunch of folks here in town. Really involved with my church. And intimately just involved with exposed, I should say, to the city and in general on a lot of different levels, man. And then was fortunate enough to earn a scholarship playing football. Went down to WKU.
Go
ahead.
I'm not gonna let you just
fly by a few things. Just slid by a few things. I go by some stuff. You gonna hold me up a little bit? Okay. Go ahead. Hold up. Yeah, hold up. You good?
Did you say your dad was in Vietnam?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, did he talk to you about that experience?
Did he? Not at all. Not at all. Never. He was in the Air Force. Mm-hmm. Not at all. Never got any communication at all, to be honest, about that. Like I say, he was in Air Force, basic training. Was stationed over in Hawaii, but we never even spoke about it, other than. Just knowing that he did his time and had some, lifelong relationships with those friends, comrades. He had a lot of fun because he obviously was a young man. Learned to ride, loved riding motorcycles and racing cars and all that kind of fun stuff. But that's the only thing he shared with me was fun stuff. That was it. You know what I mean? The laughs, the good times, and that is literally it.
And I find that interesting because most people that went to Vietnam, they really never talk about the intricacies of what actually happened and what they did. I've heard a few stories from some of my neighbors. And I haven't even heard anything from my cousin. But to have somebody in the household that never speaks about it, that tells you something pretty horrific.
Yeah, it was really deep. But as a kid, not even wise enough to even ask questions. You know what I mean? I'm a little bitty dude at that point, and so it wasn't until later on in life, even knowing that there was this history, a military history, an Air Force history, and a Vietnam connectivity.
So you grew up in a household, and I'm assuming, and you correct me, that both parents was there, and at some point there was a split.
That's correct.
But how did that shape you?
The split was probably when I was about eight years old. And in terms of the shaping of me, I'm the oldest of three boys. My brother Junie, and who's John Jr. Dad is John Anthony Sr. So it's myself, then Junie, and then the baby is Terry. And they split when I was about 8. And so we're all 3.5 years or so apart. So the thing in terms of it shaping me, maturity, I had to grow up immediately because all of a sudden at 8, I'm the man of the house. Right. In my mind, anyway. The reality was, Mom was handling double duty, and so it squeezed away some of the, I'll say, innocence one might have when you're under the covering of having Dad there. You don't have to even think about protection and anything like that. But all of a sudden, it's when it's 3 of us, all of a sudden in this little apartment, and we're latchkey kids and all that kind of stuff, and we're making our way home. And Terry's really, really little, and Junie is, he's a little one as well. I'm 8, so Junie's he's right at 5. You know what I mean? So from there, you're forced to grow up. You're forced to be mature and to think slightly different about if something happens, what can and what will I do? You know what I mean?
And that's a lot of pressure in being a young man and not having your father there, at least in the house.
Right.
And you're sort of taking the lead. Even though you can't feel the shoe,
Of course.
but you still think about that.
That's right. Yeah, that awareness is there.
That awareness is there.
Correct.
That responsibility is there. But it's more of a responsibility not for your mom, but for your siblings.
Exactly.
And that's what people don't recognize.
That's correct. That's correct.
And you feel it more when the other parent is not there. You feel it more.
For sure. Especially if you're the oldest.
Right.
If you're one of the younger
if you're
siblings,
a middle kid or the younger kid, you don't feel
you don't feel it near as much because there's still a layer of covering by the older siblings. They end up picking up those shoes, and in some cases, some folks grow up in a way. If you hear them tell their story, it's almost like their older brother or older sister was almost like an uncle or an aunt, or a parent, to be in many cases, depending on what the relationship was. But that oldest one, you're exactly right, man. There's a layer of responsibility and accountability. I needed to make sure that
everybody was
good. Mom was good. My Junie was good. Terry was good, and that never goes away. You keep that layer of protection in the way that you think. It's always there.
Yeah.
And it used to not be. Just to be honest, when we were with Daddy, for me, again, it's going way back. It's literally a shift overnight, and that whoa, okay, I've got a new set of responsibilities.
So I had a different dilemma because my father was there till I went to college, but he went to work every day, and so he would come home at 5 or 6 o'clock, and he would leave at 5 in the morning. So throughout the day, because Chicago was rough at the time on the south side of Inglewood, I had to have a watchful eye on my brother, which was 1 year younger. And my sister was 7 years younger, so I'm thinking about the streets of Chicago because that's a different animal.
Absolutely.
That's a different animal. So I get it.
Absolutely.
So you growing up, separation happens at 8 years old. So how did you navigate from there and the relationship with your father? And because, of course, a lot of people don't talk about this. You go through divorce or separation of family, and then the family has to figure out how to navigate forward. So what happened?
Well, the next steps for us, obviously, we operate as a unit. You still have your fun. Mom was like a lot of moms. She was a super mom, and you're unaware of what you do not have. You know what I mean? You're completely oblivious that you're living in public housing. You're completely oblivious to the fact that the food that you're eating has yesterday's date on it as the expiration date. You know what I mean?
You got to cook it today.
Yes, sir. You're completely unaware that all of the cans in the cupboard have dents in them, and the dents mean you get it discounted. And there's a certain section of the grocery store we used to go to back then. There was the dented section, and everything in the dented section was reduced and all that. You're oblivious to any and all of those kinds of things, from the free cheese line to going as a student in the, just simply getting breakfast or lunch, getting free lunch or reduced lunch. You're unaware that means something.
But that cheese was
and
good.
you're unaware.
I just want to put that cheese was
You got to
good.
know what you're doing, Doc. Yes, sir. You can't. You got the cheese.
I don't care what nobody said.
Man, listen.
That's the best cheese I've ever had.
You got to know how to cut it. You can't cut it too thick. You can't cut it too thin. But man, listen. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The cheese is good. The cereal. When you're hungry, which a lot of kids, like you said back then, man, everybody stayed outside. You rip and you ran all day long, man. And your moms, the grandmothers, whoever they were dealing with the food side of it. They they made miracles out of those
Yeah, they did.
that little bit of stuff that might have been in the refrigerator. The big, the number one thing in the refrigerator more than anything was water. You had
Right.
water would be cold. Everything
Right.
else, it was a debate what would
They
be in
didn't
there
care.
and all that.
Right.
But Mama did like a lot. In my case, my mom did like a lot of mothers that are single. She made miracles and on a daily basis, and kept us all busy was the magic.
Right.
My mother was extremely intelligent, earned a scholarship to Washington University in St. Louis, so she was really, very, very intelligent woman, and so she knew she couldn't teach us how to become men,
Right.
but
Right.
she knew to surround us, for us to keep these three boys, keep them busy and good busy. You know what I'm saying? So we were active in a whole bunch of stuff.
Hello, I'm Dr. Swannie Jett. Please make sure you visit one of our 5 locations, not only in Louisville, but outside of Louisville and surrounding areas. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Destiny. I'm the Community Health Workers Manager here at Park Duval Community Health Center. This is my team of community health workers.
Community health workers close care gaps, reduce barriers to care, and address health disparities in our community.
Community healthcare workers act as a bridge between the patient and the provider to stay engaged in the healthcare plan.
CHW strives to work as committed care team members for PDCHC, for current patients, and to provide access to those who need a new medical home. For more information, please visit pdchc.org or visit one of our centers. Thank you.
Your mother couldn't teach you to be a man,
Facts.
right? Explain that. Give us some context.
Well, the context of that is, at the end of the day, a woman doing her absolute best, is absolutely has no idea what it's like to be a man, and inversely, it's applicable on the other side
have
of it
no
as
idea
well.
how to be a
man has
woman.
no clue how to be a woman. The different things that they go through from age 5, 10, 15, 20. You can do your best, and love fills in a whole lot of gaps. But when it comes to teaching a young man certain tools, how to navigate this world, especially if you are blessed to have pigmentation in your skin, and as an African American, there's a whole lot of other dynamics that come into play. So just the male-female thing is massive, but when you add the African American dynamic to it as well,
that male experience,
that it goes, it just gets. It's multiplied multiple times over. And so my mom's awareness that I can't teach him how to navigate in Kentucky, which is the beginning of the South. I cannot teach him how to navigate being an African-American male in the South and a Christian. I can't do that. So what I will do is I will put him around, all 3 of them around as many solid examples as possible. Now, Daddy was still my football coach, and we interacted quite a bit with Daddy and his family, but still there was a whole lot of gaps there, obviously, when there is the divorce. And we live on 2 different sides of town, no longer living in the West End, but now we're out on out on more, I guess what you call the south side of town. But she kept us busy, really busy with the church, busy with a whole bunch of sports, from baseball, basketball, football, we were even bowling. I mean, Mom kept us just busy, and then the grades was mandatory. That was a must thing.
That was the thing to keep you busy, but keeping you busy also kept you out of trouble.
Facts, right.
But also to find who you were as a person. Because I found myself, my mom and father didn't push me, but I did everything. And that's because I didn't know what I was good at.
Right.
So you searching.
That's it. That's
And
exactly
so
it.
your mom did that to keep the day filled.
That's it.
But also that keeps you out of trouble.
Facts. Yeah. No question. And as men, as boys by gender, we're curious by nature.
Right.
And you back then, we stayed outside and you wanted to do what was fun. And what was fun, a lot of times, what was dangerous. Whether it was nobody ever wore a helmet back then. You know, you had your bicycles, and we were jumping ramps and jumping steps. And
we were invincible.
all of it.
We
all
didn't think
the above.
about that.
You know, people riding on your little handlebars and the whole 9 yards, man. And if you fail, you just you pour some water on it and figure it out and go back at it.
The stupidity of youth.
Absolutely. Oh man, listen, climbing in creeks, and man, we did a little. We were boys. All three of us. So we did a whole bunch of things that were deemed now extremely dangerous, and probably some folks will say maybe that's not appropriate, but it helped mold us into, you know, to the men that we ultimately became, man. But it's an awesome story, I will say, because it gives a whole lot of credit to. I always pour it to my mom in just in the way that she loved us. There was a tough love,
right.
And to me that's so critical. Again, as an African American trying to be a Christian in the South, it can be tough because again she grew up in St. Louis, so a lot of this Southern submissive stuff she wasn't really familiar with, but she could recognize it and knew how tough it was for men and certain things from the yes sir to yes sir, no ma'am. And just a lot of things that you hear about and you witness in terms of, man, there are no, even in the academics back in the 70s, there are no principals that are African American, period, male or female. There's no African Americans in leadership at this organization, that organization. So those kind of things she was wise enough to pick up on really quickly. And so then she was just, in my opinion, intentional in finding those that were successful and trying to expose us to them to have some goals to reach for.
And your daddy was your football coach. So where's your daddy from?
Daddy's from here. Pops is right here in Louisville, man.
He drugged us from up north.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they met somehow in St. Louis. He had family that was in St. Louis. They met in the different. He would spend summer times up there in St. Louis, and so that's how they ended up getting connected.
So I'm assuming he played football.
He ran track. He did not play football. Played baseball. But again, man, you know, as at football, because now if we go back and when our dads would have been in school in the 60s, football wasn't football in the 60s.
Right,
you know, your talented athletes back in the 60s played baseball. They were trying to be boxers, or they ran track, or they were boxing, because football hadn't really gotten legs yet, to be honest. So you have, again, some of the most amazing athletes that back then became boxers or baseball players and those kind of things. They would have been phenomenal in football. And those that did even mess around with both sports, many of them chose baseball. It's like Jackie Robinson was the All-American in 3 different sports. And the one he was the least talented in was baseball. He just chose that one because that was the route that made the most sense. A lot of
people don't know that.
Absolutely.
So you go to Mel. What made you choose Mel? Was that just by choice?
That was mom again. You know, back then you don't make no decisions. All you do, what are you talking about? She'll tell you what time to go to bed, get up.
I will say, my mom let me make a decision. My dad did too.
No, sir. We had
my decision didn't turn out what I wanted.
And that's why my mom's. I
was trying to go to a different school and end up in a neighborhood school.
Is that right? Yeah. No, man. For us, Mel was the very beginning of what's now the traditional system, and it's a magnet school now. It was just starting back when I was in middle school.
Did you have to bus?
So I did definitely all the busing thing was, because now you're talking the late 70s. Right. The busing thing was popping off. I wasn't exposed to it to the extreme that some were, meaning I wasn't a kid from the West End having to go out to, this time I lived off of Preston Highway, but I did witness.
So it wasn't that far for you?
For me, I happened to live where a lot of them went, but what I did witness as a kid, and it moved in my spirit some kind of way, I was alerted to this thing called the West End buses here. I would hear the white kids say, man, the West End bus is here, the West End bus is here. And that meant the brothers was coming from the West End, and I would see them get off the bus. And folks would be outside, and because I was a kid, I was in the building. I don't know if they were rioting or saying, hey, go back to the hood or whatever, but I was aware of when the West End bus was there. Now, for me, it was a good feeling because here comes my people. You know, I got to school early because I lived in the neighborhood, and I got the free breakfast. And I was it was myself and maybe my brother, but we were then in an extreme minority. You're talking 2, 3, 4 in a room full of a couple of hundred kids. Well, when the West End bus came, now there's my buddies. That's my people. I didn't really process it back then, but it was a sense of excitement when the West End bus was here for me.
Right.
For the others I witnessed as a kid, the adults would get up and people would start moving. Not necessarily, I can't say it was in a bad way, but people were just activated. And even knowing that the West End bus, me having that term still in my spirit years later, gives you an idea of what was going on.
Hello, I'm Dr. Swannie Jett, CEO for Park Duval Community Health Centers. We conduct WIC, nutrition, and open enrollment for healthcare. So this is a one-stop shop facility for everybody in the community.
Hello, my name is Sierra Clark, and I'm the Chronic Disease Manager at Park Duval Community Health Center. Ever since I started at Park Duval over 9 years ago, I have been committed to helping patients live healthier lifestyles. I am currently serving patients in the Chronic Care Management Program, or CCM program. My team and I help patients manage their chronic conditions such as obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes. In this CCM program, you will receive several benefits to help you manage your health. We offer monthly telephone calls to check in with your progress and to assist you with any concerns, assistance with scheduling your healthcare appointments, and assistance with filling your prescriptions in a timely and convenient manner. We also offer many resources to help you with the barriers you may face with eating healthy, being physically active, or monitoring your conditions at home. For more information, visit us online at pdchc.org or visit one of our health centers.
Hello, I'm Dr. Swannie Jett. Please make sure you visit one of our 5 locations, not only in Louisville, but outside of Louisville and surrounding areas. Thank you. Tell you a quick story. It's not funny, but it's funny as I think about it in context. I went to Florida, Seminole County, and I become first Black health commissioner. And I got my daughter and her cousin in the car. I drive down from Kentucky, Louisville, to Seminole County, Florida. Got a condo in Sanford. And this is right after Trayvon Martin was killed. So I drive up. I can't get into the apartment or the condo for some reason. I don't have the codes right. Right now, I'm in jeans, hoodie, because it's in April, and somebody called the cops. So the sheriff shows up, and he said, somebody called the police. So what are you doing here? I'm like, well, I hate to tell you this, but I really don't understand why you're here. But the second thing is, I got my realtor on the phone. So I'm going to give the phone to you, and maybe you can unlock this door and get me into my condo. So he proceeds and does that. And I, after he lets me in, I said, by the way, I'm your new health commissioner in Seminole County. Thank you, and I sure I'll be seeing you around. And but that taught me something, right? Because most of the time I'm in suits, and I said, what justice am I doing to the youth, African American men coming up, if all I'm doing is wearing suits?
Right.
Because people don't see me for what I am outside of work.
Right.
And people only recognize me when I had a suit on. But if I had jeans on, a hoodie, or a sweatsuit, or something else, people walk right by me.
Right.
And so I made it a point. When I went to work on Fridays, I wore whatever. Once I got off work, I wore whatever. So people could recognize that African American people do wear other items besides wearing the suit. And that doesn't take away from who I am as an individual.
That's right.
I'm still as intelligent with a hoodie on.
That's right. Absolutely.
Or with a suit on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you got a good education at Mel. So talk to me about, because I know you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir.
School.
Yes, sir.
So great accomplishment.
Appreciate
so
you,
your
brother.
father
Appreciate you, brother.
contributed
For sure. Absolutely.
some great
Indeed.
things.
Absolutely.
So talk
Indeed.
to me about playing
Indeed.
sports.
Indeed. Yeah, man, playing sports for my brothers and myself, It was a way to stay out of trouble and to find our way. You learn a whole lot of things in sports about comradeship, about teamwork, following authority. Because this is back in the day, man. You had old school coaches that were rough and tough, and they force you to be young men or quit. So I mean, I loved everything about playing football, just because it was a warrior sport. At least as a kid, that's what I thought. Only the tough kids played football, and only warriors could handle what you had to deal with to play football. Had fun playing basketball, had tons of fun playing baseball, and loved doing the unexpected things in all the different sports, and kind of just finding your way, finding your own personality. And in sports, it leveled the playing field on many levels in
So what does
basketball,
sports
baseball,
teach
all
you?
of them.
Because every sport is different. But what did football teach you that propelled you in life?
What football taught me that propelled me in life was get up. In a really, quote unquote, it was get up. Because as a football player, as a you being a big time football player, the one thing that you want to be able to do is from play to play. You want to win against whoever your opponent is. So if you're a receiver, you want to beat the defensive back. If you're an offensive lineman, you want to beat the defensive lineman. I mean, there's all these one-on-one battles that go all the way across the field. Staying with football, it's 11 people on offense, 11 people on defense. And so you want to win your one-on-one battle. And sometimes you may have to beat 2 or 3 people, but in that moment, it's still one-on-one. So if I'm running the ball and I make you miss, that I won that moment. Then the next moment, maybe I'm one-on-one with Fred. Now that's a one. Can I make him miss? And so there's all these one-on-one moments that take place in football, and you're going to lose a lot. You're going to get beat up a lot. You've got to be okay with pain. You've got to be okay with being uncomfortable, and you never, at least the way I was coached and taught way back. You don't want your opponent to know that you're hurt, even if you are hurt. If I'm dizzy, if I don't know where I am, if my arm is broke, my leg is broke, I'm not staying on the ground. No way. You're not gonna know I'm hurt. I'm gonna at least get up. Now my teammates may have to come get me. The referee may have to, you know what I'm saying? They may have to take me off the field, whatever. You're not gonna know that I'm hurt. So for me, it was that concept of always get up. It was always fight. It was always do your best to win. And even if I lost the next play, I'm convinced I'm going to win. Now, that may not be true, but that mentality of quickly hitting the reset button, one play at a time, bing, reset, win or lose, you've always got to hit the reset button. But the big thing still was get up, because football, is such a warrior sport.